Welcome to Chapter 7. In this chapter we started adding more features to our big project. And through doing that we learned several interesting things. First we learned how to keep records using an SQL database and Qt's support for working with SQL databases. We then learned about state machines and how Qt lets us do cool things like draw a state machine and then go from there right to runnable code. After that, we talked about using a keyboard. And we came up with a virtual keyboard we could use. I was going to close that up. We then worked with WebSockets. That's one of the basic things you'll use in IoT devices. And then we talked a bit about IoT security. If you think about it, there are thousands, if probably not approaching millions of IoT devices out there. So even though they're simple, having security for them is becoming more and more of an important issue. So let's start by looking at our code and let's run it. This is the final code for the big project in the chapter, and run it on our Raspberry Pi. So I'll click the run button, and immediately we get an error message. I actually expected this. There is a problem you can have sometimes when you're working with different versions of Qt developing code. I will admit I developed on my desktop machine, which we're seeing right now, and I also developed on a laptop and yet another laptop. And so a small bug cropped in, and it only shows up when you try to build the Raspberry Pi version first. But basically, Qt Quick Widget doesn't exist. And we need to change that. But first, let's go look at that file. So that's in main window. It's actually in UI main window. UI underscore file name is a file created by the QMake process, particularly the UIC, the UI compiler. And that really gives you all the funky stuff that makes the UI work. So QMake takes Qt stuff and makes it a make file and invokes tools that makes the C++ or the Qt C++ into pure C++. So let's open main window UI. But this time we're going to open it slightly different. We're going to open it as a plain text editor. Let's scroll down. So right here we see the problem. Qt widgets, QQuick widget. Now, having experienced this problem before, hopefully you won't see this, but if you do, you'll know how to solve it. I know this occurs in two files. Now I could just type this over and change it, but instead I believe every mistake is a learning opportunity, and so we're going to learn something. So I selected that, and I'm going to hit Control F to open up the Find menu. Now, I'm not going to hit Find here. I'm going to go over here to this Advanced button and click that. And I'm going to say, look in all of big project for the occurrence of this. And then I'm going to search and replace that. Okay? So it found it in two files. Both of them UI files. Now I want to change this to be just that. So we're getting rid of the Qt Quick Widgets / Alright, so I change it to what I want. I hit replace, and it replaced it in two occurrences. That's two occurrences in two files. So now if we go and we actually try to run the program, or build and run it, we have to save that file since it was open. It doesn't work. Why not? Well, because we haven't rerun QMake. You'll see this sometimes, and when you get weird messages you think you've solved, the solution is pretty simple. Just go up to Build, force rerunning of QMake. That will call the UI compiler, and then we should be able to just run it. Let me turn our target display on. Watch our compilation. While we're doing that, I will make our target display a little bit bigger. There we go. And we're still upside down. We know what that is. We know that the fact that we have not told it to invert things yet. So let's do that over here. You can't see what I'm doing, but the modern technology allows me to sort of invert that window. So it starts up on the settings window. There. Now I can go in here. We can look at the history tab. Sorry, my hand blocks things. We can see that's running. We can see that we're adding more data. We can see that the temperature settings have changed a little bit. Or I should say the mock temperature thing. Let's go back to settings. And I want to change this top temperature. So I'm going to select it. And I'm going to put a 5 in there. Oh, hang on. See, I'm going to revert to the mouse. Trying to touch that at that angle is a little difficult. So I'm now going to enter a 5, 6 in there. 5, 5, 6. All right, I'm going to enter it here. 5, 6. Notice I entered the 5, the bottom number changed to. That's because we would say we had 3 degrees. We couldn't be closer than 3 degrees, so it automatically updated the second one. Now, I'll press tab, move to the second field. Let's make this 30. There. Now you see it's trying to heat and the fan is running. Our state machine is working fine. We'll go over to our history window again. And we see the temperature is climbing. It will keep climbing as it tries to approach that. And if we go all the way back to our current data, we can see there's our current data. All right, let's move off of this and let's go run the program on the target. Sorry, on the host. So we'll close that window down. We'll come down here. We'll tell it we want to run the desktop version. And we'll let it build and run. It'll take just a couple of seconds for that to happen. Now the reason I wanted to run it over here is I wanted to demonstrate the WebSockets. Now I have a Firefox running. I'll bring that into view. And if you remember, if you look in the repository for Chapter 7 Big Projects, you see there's an HTML directory. There's one file, monitor.html. This is about as simply as you can write a WebSocket interface. All right. So I'm going to start monitoring it. And the reason I'm using the host is I'll show you in a second. the code is actually tied directly to a hardwired IP address, in this case localhost, which means I have to be running where I'm running Firefox. So let's start the monitor, and we get a temperature update, and another one, 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 and another one. So I'm going to go back before we started it. So right now we're reading 19.8, 18.9. So let's run this and let's actually see if the numbers agree. Start the monitor. 19.70, 20, 19, 18, 1830. If I could click as fast as they're coming through, because they're coming through as fast as I can click, you can see that they do agree with each other. So let's take a look at the code for that. I'm going to close this up, minimize this. Now let's go down and look at monitor HTML. And this is what I was talking about. Right there you can see it's hardwired to a certain port. Now if you want to test that running on your target, all you'd have to do is change that address to be ws://Raspberry Pi or Raspi01 or whatever you called your target. And again, port 8091 is hardwired into this code on both sides, both on this monitor HTML and in the big project. So that concludes the video for Chapter 7. Chapter 8 is more of a talking, is more of a reading, so there's no video for it. But we will continue with Chapter 9 in a few minutes.